Good morning, everybody. Patty Ann here. Hang on. Today, I'm just going to begin with showing you what we had made yesterday. Remember these adorable little cards for kids who are like preschool or school age even. They can do things with these. They can play matching games. They can even play a card game where you hand them out and you try to, get from the person you're playing with a matcher for something in your hand. But anyway, these are the ones that we made yesterday, and notice that there are matchers, and kids can just count them, or they could try to put the same kind together. Or if you have older kids, maybe they'll want to color them, or even the little kids, and just have some fun with them. Another game you could play is just turn them over like this and just trying to find matchers. You remember playing this little memory game like this. There's that guy. See if I can get a matcher. I did get a matcher. It was my lucky day again. I did that yesterday. No! Oh gosh, he's not a matcher. You gotta look closely. Anyway, let's go up to my computer screen and get started. Okay, here are the final 5 little Easter guys I'm going to finish today. Probably not all on this video because that'd be a little bit too long, but I'll get started. So the first thing I would do is notice that they're all hooked together. Remember we had saved these from yesterday. So what I would do is come down here to the very left hand side and get the knife tool. And I would probably leave it as a solid, and I would change it from poly to straight line. And I can uncheck auto apply just in case I make a mistake and I need to move my line. So I'm just going to draw a line straight down here. That one looks perfect. So since it looks great, I can just apply it. Now I can bring that guy off. These guys are all still attached. Knife tool, solid, straight. Auto applies off, and like that. Okay, let's look. Okay, that looks good. And so I'll say apply. Move that guy over. Okay, 2 more lines. Knife, solid, straight. Auto apply off and draw a line. Knife, solid, straight, and apply. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead, and I bet I can do all of these at once. Let's see. I'm going to put all of these up here, and I'm going to see, I've never done this before, if I can just go ahead and trace them all at one time. So I'm going to come over here to the trace tool that looks like the piece of toast. Click on that and say select the trace area. And I'm just going to trace like that. Going to scroll in so I can see some lines because I see some that don't look that great, like right here. So I'll probably up my threshold over here just a little bit. There we go, it's looking better. And then I'll just scroll over and look at this one. It looks good. This one looks good-ish. Look at that right there. That's not good enough. So I'm going to up the threshold a little bit more. There we go. Oh, too much though. It's looking a little jaggedy and ugly. Let's see if I can just go up one little dot at a time to get that to close. Alright, so right there it's closed. Let's see, I think that will be okay. Let's see over here. Let's go down to these guys down here and check them out. Okay, that looks good to me. So I'm just going to say trace. Now I can scroll back out and I can get rid of the boxes that made each one of these up. Oops, there they all are. And get those. Okay, now these are all grouped together. So I think, so since I did them all back like that, okay, I can do it this way. So what I'm going to do is let me undo this. So this is new to me. I've never done them all at one time. I'm going to go ahead and click on the outside edge and come up here like I always do and make this a light purple. And then I'm going to go to Object, Release the Compound Path. And that makes each one into its own little guy that I can move but don't lose parts for. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and color these. So let's see, I think I'll color this one's circles all in yellow. So I'll come up here, let me move my mic and make this yellow. And I'll make this line orange and this line teal, a tealy color, and maybe make this teal also, and maybe hit this part of his cracked up head up here tealy. Hold down my shift key so I can grab all of that and make it all the same color. Okay, that's looking good. Alright, so maybe I'll make this, click on it, come up here to the left. If I'm going too fast, that's because we've been doing this thing for a few days now, so you might want to go back and look at some of my earlier ones to see how I did go ahead and do this. Click on this, and I'll make it teal, and maybe make this thing teal also, but maybe not since it's right here, so I'll make it yellow. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the outermost edge of this. That's not it, because the whole thing, there's not a box around all of it. So I want to try to click out far enough. Click out in such a way, there we go, that we get the box around the whole thing. Then I can come up here and change that to black. And look how nice he's looking. Let's change his color though, because he's got to be yellow, right? He's a chick. And now the only thing left that we have to do is what we've been learning every day. And, you know, I'm going to get rid of this piece right here because I don't think I really need it. Delete. And this little piece right here, click on it, delete. So what I'm going to do now is I'll color his beak in both parts, hold down the shift key and grab both and make those orange. Then I'm going to take this part that I know is supposed to be black and this and his beak, and grab onto the yellow part of his face, come over here to the modify panel and change, oh, not the modify, oh yeah, the modify panel, and say subtract. And that did perfectly what I wanted it to do, other than I want this piece to be black. So I'm going to click on this piece, hold down my shift key, grab this one, and subtract. Okay, that's perfect. Then I'll just make this, hold down the shift, and this white, like that. Okay, that's going to be perfect for my card game. Let's scroll out and see how he looks. He's really cute. So if you'll remember from yesterday, what I did was I got a card or a box, and I made that box, I think it was 3 by 4. So it'd be 4 inches tall, enter, and 3 inches wide. Let me grab one of mine that I have down here to measure it to make sure that's what I made them, and now I'm not sure where I put them. Oh, here they are. So yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 by 3. That's correct. So all I need to do now is I can make a bunch of these if I want to by right-clicking and saying duplicate, right-click and duplicate. But before I do that, what I probably should do is change this to white because that's what color I want them all to be. So I'm going to click up here and change it to white. And now I can right-click and duplicate or hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, and notice that changes my hand from a hand to a plus sign, which means I can keep duplicating these. So I made a whole slew of them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one here, move these out of the way, right click and say send to the back, and now I'm going to grab the chick and the card right here, and I'm going to come up here and say center. Oh, that's not right. If that happens to you, let me show you why. Before I go ahead, whoopsie daisy, let me undo that. Before I go ahead, I need to regroup him. So I'm going to select everything about him and say group. And now I can bring this over here, right click and send this white piece to the back, and then grab both of these things now and come up here and center, and then he's centered perfectly just like that. And I can grab both of them again and say group. So that guy's done. Now if I'm using him over in Cricut Design Space, I might want to make sure that the outline of him is a light gray color like this. See what I did? This is the fill color. This second box over is the line color. I'm going to make it a light gray, and that's going to help it to show up a little bit more easily in Cricut Design Space when I save this. One's done. Let's go to the next one. Move him out of the way. Don't resize him. Leave him just like that. Let's do another one. Let's try the bunny. He's cute. So the bunny, And you know, of course, you could make these and pop these up on cards if you want to. Don't put the square around it. Let me show you something else you could do if you wanted to. Say I wanted to put this on the front of a card and I wanted to pop dot it up so it gives it some more dimension. So what I could do is just go ahead and color these. So I'm going to hold down my shift key and make some of these stripes and things the same color. I'll just go up here and use some of the same colors I just used. So I'll make this one and maybe all of these dots. So I'm holding down my shift key all the while, and I'll make those all orange. And I'll make this line here, or that part there, yellow. And maybe this orange. I'm just willy-nilly running through here. You can make obviously any color combinations you like. I'm going to make this one kind of the opposite of the other. So I'll make these yellow, and the other part orange. Okay, now remember, this can be a print then cut, or it could be a cut that we do out of cardstock or vinyl. So let me finish this up. Let's see. Let's make this one, I guess I'll make this part yellow and the dots orange. Holding down my shift key and grabbing them all. Make those orange. Alright, now I see a couple little pieces in here I know I don't need to have cut. Don't need them at all. I'm going to delete this piece. I don't want to cut that thing out or to glue it onto anything, and that piece too. So I just click on it to highlight it and then delete it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and click on the outermost part so I can get the box all the way around him. So if I click there, oh, got the box first time, first tries. That's perfect. I'm going to come up here. And I'm going to change it to black because that's going to change all these pieces that I need to black, which is perfect. Let's see. I'm going to change his face to a creamy color, I guess. I don't know, maybe white. Let's do white. Okay. This piece here and this piece here, we learned about these last couple lessons ago. Let me show you how to get rid of this. I'm going to click on this purple piece if I don't want this in here at all, nor do I want that black piece. I'm going to click on the purple piece, hold down my shift key, and click on the black. Then I'm going to come over here to the modify panel. Usually we use the subtract button. This time we're going to say subtract all. Okay, now what that's going to do is going to move that whole piece out of there, and I can delete it. So let me show you what happens then. If I group all this together and I move him over, you'll see that there's no longer going to be a piece right there. It's going to just cut out right there totally. Okay, so I can do the same thing to this part right here. Click on this purple. I think I can. Oh, I grouped it all together. I need to ungroup it first. Now I can click on this little purple piece, hold down my shift key, grab the black, and say subtract. But wait a minute. I think I wanted to subtract it all, and I'm surprised that worked. Let's check for a second. Maybe there is no black, but oh, there is black. So I'm not exactly sure that I would. Click on this, hold down my shift key, get the black, and say subtract all, and then that takes that out of there, and delete. And again, if I want to grab him and bring him over, you can see where there's no longer anything right there. I do notice I need to color his neck in white, because that's what color I made it. Here. And the last problem we have are all these pieces right here, which I want to be black, but I don't want to cut out little pieces of cardstock or vinyl. So I'm going to click on that purpley stuff, hold down my shift key, click on the white, and again come to the modify panel. This time just say subtract, because I want only this part cut out on the face. I don't want the black totally gone too. Alright, now I can make his nose a cute little pinky color. Little red. Pink. And then I can do the same thing with his eyes. Click here, hold down my shift key, grab the white of his face and say subtract. It's looking good. It didn't get this final eyebrow, so I need to click on it, hold down the shift, click on the white and say subtract. And again, if it feels like I'm going pretty fast, just go back to my prior videos and you'll see I work through this a little more slowly. So now I would click on his eye, And I can tell I got the purple part because look what's selected up here. If I missed it and got the white, look what's selected up here. If I got the pink, look which color. So I can kind of tell what I've selected if I'm not sure by looking up here. And I got the purple, hold down the shift, get the other purple, and this time I'm just going to change the color to white. And I do notice if I scroll way in here, there's another little piece that's going to think it needs to cut out. I'm just going to get rid of that. I don't think I need that. Delete and gone. All right, so let's scroll back out and see how he's looking. Okay, he's looking really cute. Now, as I said, I was going to show you one more thing today before I put him on the card, the playing card. I'm going to group him all together. Let's say, and let me move him, let's see if I can move him off the mat. Or I tell you what, I'll change the color of my background here. So if you'll notice, he's on my mat. I'm just going to change the color of my mat so you can see the offset I put on him more easily. To do that, I come up here to where the page setup panel is, go to the second button over, grid settings. Right now, show grid is not checked. I'm going to check that. And it puts a grid on. If I really want to be able to see well, I can change the spacing of my grid right here. I'm going to put them as close together as I can, and that almost makes a solid, oopsie, Control Z, almost makes a solid color right here for him. If I scroll in really closely, you'll see that it's not totally solid. See those little dots? But it sure looks solid from a distance. Whoops. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is how to go ahead and put an offset on him. All you do is highlight him. Uh-oh, and I see something else I want to change, y'all. And I'll do that in a minute after I show you the offset. You see the little purple lines around these circles? I want the black to be there. So anyway, I'm just going to show you how to offset first in case that's what you want to do, and cut that out and pop it up on a card. So just come way over here to this star. If you hover over it, you'll notice it says offset panel. It's a star that already has an offset on it. That'll help you to remember. Click on that and just come up here to where it says offset, and that automatically put an offset all around him. So I can come up here and change the color of the offset to white because that's what I like it to be, and there it is. That's my offset. Okay, isn't that cool? So now I can just group these together, and I could cut this, I could print this, then cut it out and pop dot it right up, and it would look so professional on a card. Going to go back, get rid of our offset for now. All right, as I said, I saw a few more things I wanted to fix in here before I was totally done. Notice this right now. If I ungroup this, these little purple circles are something else I'm going to have to put on here, and I don't want to have to work that hard if I'm cutting this out of vinyl, HTV, or cardstock. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to click on that, hold down my shift key, click on the orange color, and come over here to the modify panel again, which is the rectangle with the circle, say subtract, and look what that did. That totally got rid of that purple circle, and it allows me to see the black from behind, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'll put this in here. So I'm going to do the same thing to all these other ones, and I can do it all at one time. Well, I'll just do the orange ones together. Click on that one, and I know I have the purple thing selected because I can look up here, hold down my shift key, get this purple, still holding down my shift key, get the orange color, and say subtract. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing down here. Click on the purple, hold down my shift, get this purple, holding down my shift key all the time. The last thing I'm going to get is the yellow. And then I'm going to come to the modify panel. When it's open, I'll say subtract. Perfect. So that's it. He's done now too, just like this. Isn't he cute? All right, so the next thing I would do is just get one of my little squares that I already made. Remember, I made them 4 inches tall by 3 inches wide. Uh-oh, I need to do one more thing to him first. Remember, I need to go ahead and grab all of him and say group. Then I'll bring this over here. Now I can select both of these pieces and come up here to this little bullseye looking thing that says center and center it. And while both things are still selected, I can hit Control G. Control G is in group, or right click in group. And there we have our second one done. So I think that's probably it for now. Let me double check and see how much time I have left. Okay, there's one thing I forgot to do, and that is that I wanted another one. Remember, I had one card that was colored and one that was not colored. It was simply black and white. So I forgot when I was saving these after I traced them to save an extra one that was just black and white. So I'm going to do that right quick right now. I'm just going to go to Trace, select the trace area, and trace this one. And that looks pretty good. I think I'll up the threshold a little bit. There we go. And say Trace. And get rid of the box and just change this by clicking on it. It's probably hard for you to see right now because of my gray background, but I'm going to come up here and change the first color to black, and then you see the red lines around him. I'll also change the line color to black just so it looks better. Right now I'll do this guy next. I'm going to go ahead and say trace by clicking on the toast, the trace tool. Select the trace area, select it, and up the threshold a little bit and say trace. Get rid of the box, change him by clicking on the outer edge, change that part to black and the line color to black. The only other thing I have to do now are bring over these boxes to put behind them. So I'm going to click on him in the box. Two things are selected. Come up here and say center. Same thing with this one. Here we go. We got him like that. I'll click on both of these and you'll see how nicely it centers it. Right like that. Perfect. Just like that. And then I'll hit group for this one and group for this guy. The next thing that I did do was I came over here to the page setup panel, and the cardstock that I'm using is letter size, the media. So I changed this to letter. And then I also came to the third button over and turned on the registration marks. They were off. You can see there's no registration marks on here right now. And when I turn them on, you'll see that they come on here. And I also, in the first panel here of the page setup, I turned on the show cut border. Do you see when I toggle that on and off, that red line coming up? So I want to make sure that nothing goes outside of that line. So I'm just going to place these on here, and I could send them to my Cricut. If I was sending them to my Cricut, I'd probably want to go ahead and take the outermost edge of this and change the line color to a gray. Take the outermost edge and turn the line color to a gray. For me, that just seems like it's a little bit easier when I go to save this as a JPEG. Well, I'll show you in a sec. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and send this to my Cameo. A lot of stuff comes cut the way I don't want it to be, so I can just select all of it by drawing a big box around it. And then instead of it saying cut, where it's going to cut all the pieces, I'm going to say cut edge. And I'll change it to cover stock because that's what I'm using, and I'll change the other things. Use the auto blade as detected. So I'll go ahead and send that and let that cut. But first, before I can cut it, I have to print it. So I come up here to File and go to Print. And you can print anything you make in Silhouette from this software. It doesn't matter if you have a Cameo or not. So I would just print it and continue on. But let me show you what I'll do in Cricut, and then I'll show you my final product. So with Cricut Design Space, what I'll do is I'll grab all of these four things and group them, I guess. Then I'll go to File, Save Selection, save it to the hard drive, and I'll just name it, what day is this, 9? Oh, but wait a minute. Remember what I need to do? I want to make sure these cards are going to be the exact same size as they were before. So I need to remember when I group all this together, the group size is 6.745. See it up here, the width? 6.745. So when I go to File, save selection to hard drive. I'm going to name it, first of all, 6.745. And I could name it Easter Chicks or whatever I want to. Okay. And save it. This time I'm going to save it as a JPEG because I'm going to make this a print then cut. You'd think to save it as a PNG, but I've had issues with that when I save it for my Cricut. So I always save it as a JPEG and say OK. And just leave all these settings as they are. And then just open my Cricut. And say new project, upload an image, browse, and it was a bunch of numbers. You probably see it. There it is, 6.745. Notice it's a JPEG. If I hover it over it, it says JPEG, and over here in the file type it says JPEG. So I'm going to open that. It's going to come in looking like this. I'm going to say complex and continue. And now you see those little gray lines around each one of these? That's what's going to help it so that I can click on the select and erase tool up here. Oh, but look, it didn't work this time because I didn't make them dark enough, I guess. So I'm going to go back. And this time what I'm doing is I'm going to say complex and continue. If that ever happens to you, come to more options and change the color tolerance right here. I'll make mine an 8. I'm just trying things willy-nilly to see what works. 8. Okay, that worked for 3 out of 4. So let's go back one more time. Complex, continue, advanced, and I'm going to make this maybe a 6, and we'll see what happens. 6. All right, that worked perfectly. Do you notice? Now it's going to be just perfect. So I can continue. It's going to cut just like this around them, but I want it to be a print then cut, so I want this. So I'm going to say save. Here they come in, insert. And the image is not going to come in at the right size, as we know. They never do for some reason. So what I want it to be is 6.745. Remember when I put that number in there? So I'm going to change the width with the locked to 6.745 and hit enter, and that changed it, and they'll be the exact size I need. If I want to see what's going to print then cut because I'm thinking I can't tell, I'm clueless, all I have to do is come down here to where it says blank canvas, and I want to change the canvas color, but it won't let me here because what you have to do is come right up here where it says color, and it's hard to see, but it says color, and there's a little white thing, little white box. Just change that box to some other color. I'll make it green, and that shows the background, and then you can see exactly what's going to cut right around these squares. So okay, let's follow me down here and I'll show you what I've already done. Okay, remember from yesterday I had already made these cards, and they have matchers, right? Cute. So here are the ones I just made now. And they should be exactly the same size, and thankfully they are. So this is a cute little card set that you can give to somebody. And like I said, even a little bit older kid might just enjoy coloring these to match the things or to make their own designs. But again, the kids can try to match up the same kinds together. If they're really little kids, you might just want to do like all of the ones that are colored like this, so that when they play the game they can look for ones that are exactly the same and not have to try to look at this and really look. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the little bell. Make sure you leave me comments down below. I love getting comments. I try to answer as many of them as I can, and that's pretty much all of them. I guess that's about it. See you again tomorrow for another day of creating SVGs. Who knows, maybe I'll add a little extra something in. So see you then. Bye, you guys.